Me.
Hey, Vishad, how are you?
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sure can.
Yes, get in. First time. Look at that. How you doing? How's the day been? It looks to have been really good couple of sessions actually.
Yeah, they have been. The testimonial hour was probably about my favorite, but they're all like, how do you pick a favorite, right? They're all
Well,
really good.
I was checking out your replay of the make your own probiotic session. I thought this is going to
Yeah,
be good. This is going to be good. So I'm going to look forward to the replay after that. But look,
yeah.
again, nice one for putting this all together today. I know it's been long and like you look like you're someone that's been there constantly trying to keep this going, get all the sessions up. So nice one again.
Yes, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. And I've been looking forward to this conversation all week.
No, absolutely. And me to offer, I mean, to me, I made some like notes to cover the stuff we had, and it's like, okay, wow, I'm trying to pack a lot here in an hour, but I will
Yeah,
do my best on that. But absolutely, I'm glad you gave the idea of having a session that essentially introduces people, and I thought that's a nice way to, as I say, just showcase what
yeah.
is mindset transformation, what is mindset, and then people can then, as my work says, take the path where they want to, So
hmm
yeah, really looking forward to sharing this.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. Um, so I guess we'll go ahead and just get started, right? I mean, why not?
Let's go for it. No
All
time like the
right.
present.
And Vishad, I don't know if you've met my husband Joshua, but this is my husband Joshua. He's actually in the same room with me, so we get a little feedback problems. I don't think he can actually unmute his mic, but I'm sure
All
he'll have
good.
some questions.
All good. All good. Good evening, Joshua.
Hi.
I don't know if you can hear him.
Yeah, all good.
All right, so let's get started. So, Vashad, the name of your business is Inner Peace Walker, or the name, right? The Inner Peace. Why that?
Hey,
Why that name?
that's right. Well, that's it's a bit of a considered story actually. So I'll break it down a bit. So inner peace itself to me means a state of contentment and coming from a place of understanding your fears, the setbacks you've incurred, and essentially your dark side. And instead of getting rid of it, actually living with it, which will then give you the space for yourself to craft your own path towards your inner peace, whatever you define it to be, and not live up to someone else's standards or expectations. And I also include time in that element as something that everybody follows. No one can stop time, but we all keep moving, whether we're doing something or not. So that introduces a notion of walking. Now, it doesn't have to be a defined path that we never stray from. We essentially can make the path as we go. So putting the two components together, inner peace and walking, forms inner peace walker. Now, I actually extended that with, if people are familiar with the video game series Metal Gear Solid,
Okay.
it's one of the games in that series is called Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, and the actual like main theme tune to the game really sparked off the idea of this name working because it was a very strong title music, so it included elements of like a rushed heartbeat that we often
Mm.
get, and there was a lot of music shuddering to a halt like we do, a lot of clashes going up and down, a lot of soaring strings, which define defiance, and literally the song going back on itself. So it's a very kind of repeating nature of the music, which is again like our lives. We see sometimes a lot of patterns reoccurring, but it's for those of a musical nature, it's in the key of G. Now it's quite an uplifting piece at times, but essentially when I was making my business and putting the name together, basically the title of the game, the theme music lent itself to inner peace walker. So essentially you walk forward with your inner peace. Now that's not a steady path. It can be twisting, winding, changing all over the place. But like the theme music, it comes back to themes, comes back to soaring, and you get stronger and louder each time. So that's essentially where inner peace walker came from.
I love it. you need to give out t-shirts that say Inner Peace Walker after someone goes through your course, right?
I will put that in. That is something
Right?
I'm thinking of, like merchandise or things like that. But just got to be careful with things like copyright. Honestly, like I was looking into what can you copy, what can you can't, because my creative imagination as it is like, can I tie in themes from the game? I'm like that could infringe on copyright. But do you know what? The name I might be able to get away with. So yeah, keep an eye out, and I'll put that out soon.
Yeah. That's fantastic. I love it. I love how you're taking in music. Music is a big part of our life. Like,
Incredible.
I mean, it's so uplifting. I mean, it can take you emotionally to places that you need to go and you need to release. It can take you to higher places. It can take you to lower places if you need to. So the power and the frequencies of music is just it's a beautiful thing. It really is. In our household, we my husband's he sings and writes music and everything else.
Oh, awesome.
All of our kids are musically talented, it seems. I have one daughter who literally will just belt out music throughout the entire house. Like you can't get her to stop singing.
That's amazing.
And then you'll come home and it'll be like a great big frat party. All of our kids will have music blaring and speakers going, and they're all just.
Hey, maybe you've got the next Taylor Swift on your hands.
I probably do.
There you go.
She's been writing music since she was little. Like I would say,
Wow.
she started when she was about 4. She started writing music. Yeah, and when she was about, I think 6 or 7, she wrote a song. It was really beautiful, but she wrote out the music, the piano chords to it too. It's like, where is our God? Where is our home? We're on a mountain, cold and alone.
Wow.
I mean, she was just this deep.
That's quite profound for like a 6-7-year-old.
I know, right?
Right?
Yeah, it was crazy. But I love what you're doing. Okay, so why mindset? Why transformation?
Oh, good question. So when I started my path as a coach, it was me facing the age-old question, what niche do you go for? Which is fine. I get that as a question. If people want to go for a niche, that's great. Where I came from was the approach that my own coach took. So before I became a coach, I got coached. My own coach doesn't have a niche. Now, I was a bit curious about it when I worked with him, but at the end of our work together, I wholly understood why he doesn't want to have one. And the reason is if I pick the word mindset for a start, at the moment, I reckon it's a tougher sell to people than something more defined, like, say yourself, a nutritional health coach. That's quite clear as to what exactly you help with. Same goes for a fitness coach, a relationship coach, a career coach. People think, oh, yeah, okay, if I want to lose weight, I'll go to a weight loss coach or a fitness coach. If I want to find a partner, I got a relationship coach. If I do a mindset coach, people just go, isn't that just life coaching? And you're like, no. Because they bracket it in with things like self-love. The thing is, if you're going to pick on any modality to take on, it's going to be complete bollocks to you if you don't come from a place of highest self-worth, because your subconscious doesn't buy into what you're doing. So when you say, okay, let me rewind a bit. On New Year's Eve, what do you think is the most common resolution people make?
Oh gosh, probably to
lose weight.
Lose weight.
Lose weight, go to the gym.
Yep.
So what happens in January? Everybody goes, right, I'm going to stop drinking for a month. I'm going to stop eating chocolate. I'm going to get a gym membership. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. each day like Rocky, run around, go to the gym 3 times a week. And yeah, look, in the early part of January, you do that 3 times a week. You do all this stuff. And end of January becomes 2 times a week, then 1 time a week. And then in February, everybody cancels their gym membership. And they then go, oh, I've got no willpower. I can't stick to it. I'm self-sabotaging. So you're back into the same place. Well, what's happened there is that consciously you might be saying, I want to lose weight. And your subconscious looks around and goes, why? Because it's coming from a place of, well, at the moment, you might not know this, but you're actually meeting all your needs in this situation where you're not being necessarily healthy or fit or whatever. but you're securing all your needs. So what's the need to change? Your subconscious is only concerned with two things: keeping you alive and meeting your core needs. It doesn't care about whether you're happy. That's up to you. So this is why we perpetuate situations that we don't actively like or are actually meeting needs for us. Now, coming back to the whole idea of mindset, is at the moment, a lot of us are running around with these kind of goals going, right, that looks good. And you work towards it and you might get there, you might not. And if you get there, you're like, is that it? And then you look for the next shiny goal and like, all right, I'll do that. And literally you go around in a maze of goals. At the end of it, what kind of feelings do you get? You're tired, you're frustrated, you're unfulfilled, and you feel fucked. Now, where do I go? Now, all of that comes down to your mindset. Why? Because your mindset is a platform to then try on any goal or modality that you want, that you don't have to hang your self-worth on it. Now, if you check out a lot of the coaches in any space right now, I can guarantee you one of their components of their course or project is going to be about mindset. I've in the past week seen coaches in my network, from a psychic healer, a relationship coach, a food coach, all talk about mindset. The clue is there. You talk about your self-worth and not being good enough. So my overall approach is, when it comes to mindset, you can start from anywhere you want. Now, I'm not saying niche coaches don't work. In fact, niches work when you've actually done the mindset work. So if you think of it this way as an analogy, a bit like if you buy a house and it's got a wobbly foundation, your first thought is actually, right, I want to paint the walls, I want to put up some fancy furniture, I want to make it look nice lighting, nice sound system, etc., etc. You might get away with it. Then everybody walks in and goes, a bit wobbly, this, isn't it? A bit like, you know, it might fall down. Same here. If you want to go for the niche coaching, go for it. But when you work on the foundations of your mindset, you actually come from a place of high self-worth and lead yourself to a more better chance of reaching your goals. So to finish that bit, you put it this way: if you look at the system you've set up of alternative healthcare solutions, you're bringing together all these coaches that are passionate about what they offer, coming from all different angles, with one common goal about healthcare, alternative approaches, and being experts in what they're in, right? An ordinary person who's looking for some kind of help, is curious, might look at these modalities like oracle card reading, spirituality, psychics, and might think, oh, I'm a bit skeptical. Isn't this all kind of like, you know, woo-woo, and I don't really believe that. Why? Because they're coming from a place of skepticism. Where's that skepticism come from? It might be a challenge to their logic because they've got a fixed mindset, or it might be a challenge to their belief system. So what I'm aiming to do with mindset is to go, you don't have to believe everything that you see and hear, but you're just opening yourself to more possibilities.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I have to work with my clients with mindset a lot, because that's the first step. And I usually take them through a little practice, and I have them just when the first session, because the mind is so important, right? Yep. But the first step that I have them do is close their eyes and relax their body and feel their body. And then we visualize a lemon, and you take that lemon and you cut the lemon in half. And I'm like talking them through this visualization, and I'm showing them, like, you know, now cut the lemon in half, now squeeze it so the juice all surfaces to the top. Now imagine that you are licking all of that juice off the top of that lemon very slowly. And so they're like imagining it. And then I'll ask them, did your body respond? Did you feel it in your jaws? They're like, yes, it was, I felt it right here. My jaw started clenching. It's like, because your mind was focused on that, and what you are able to imagine, your body responds to. And it's really a good shift to look, to really take them through that process, to realize how powerful the mind is. The mind is so powerful when it comes to healing and transforming, like you said. So why transformation? Or did you feel like you already covered that? Like, you've got
no, it's a good question. It's the perfect lead on from that. And to be honest, to take your great lemon analogy, a lot of what I talk about is you have the answers already. So when you talked about the physiological responses you might feel to that simple visualization, the first thing people might think of when they're asked to do that is like, what is going on here? Why am I thinking of a lemon? So immediately you get that actual subconscious talking, going, what are you trying to do here? So only when you go, just hold on a second, listen, hear this out. It's about that conversation you have with your subconscious. Now that might make you sound like a crazy person. It's like, well, that's the subconscious talking. And when you're in communication with it, it lends itself to buying into what you're doing. So going back to what you said earlier about goals, the reason you're not self-sabotaging, you're self-protecting. Your subconscious going, I don't know what's going to happen if you do start making these changes. So I've got to learn more to buy into what you're doing. So when you open yourself up to possibilities, understand what works for you or think will work, with the idea that, all right, I don't have to hang everything of my self-worth on it, then your subconscious goes, oh, all right, I know what you're doing. And when you hear these kind of analogies, you go, right, you see those instinctive responses that you feel, even linking it back to music, we were saying, you know, music is a separate topic that I could really go on about, but
yeah.
You see automatic physiological responses. So with transformation, I mean, I'm the self-confessed mindset transformer, and I define transformation as a two-way process between me and the other person. So I make a note in these I help statements that are everywhere. You know, when people define it into a certain group, I help women or I help professionals, whatever. And again, if it works for you, absolutely great. I'm not here to change your mind or whatever. Do what's great for you. I just use the word you. Because at the end of the day, you, the person, whether that's on your tablet, laptop, phone, whatever medium you're looking at, you're the one reading or consuming this content. So I'm talking to you. If you read this and go, now this is bollocks, I'm not going to, not for me, that's cool. But I want to be talking to you, the person, because I'm wary that people will resonate with stories. Human beings are, you know, really enjoying stories. So we can use that to go, right, if you present what you do, then people might tune into your story. But about transformation, my part comes in where I help people reconcile and clarify, going beyond the symptom, getting to the root cause of low self-worth, which they might not realize they have through their current actions and behaviors and patterns, working through to the core root cause of you don't feel good enough. Now, we don't stay there. From there, we go towards a character-based approach to understand how we're currently meeting our needs and how we can meet them in healthier ways. Now, from the person's point of view, their side of the bargain is to lead that character work and be responsible for the practice that they put in to realize their own transformation. So the transformation comes in two folds, right? Firstly, it's the person's own definition of what transformation means. Because you've got some people that want that headline goal. I want to find a partner. I want to lose weight. I want to change my career. And then there are other people that will go, I just want to be more confident in public speaking, for example. Both categories make sense. Both are absolutely fine. And gaining either can be transformative for that person. Now, the beauty of the work that I do is the transformation is a natural byproduct of the work that we do together. So you might even achieve things without you actively chasing them. It's not a magic trick. It's all there in plain sight. We're just going to go digging to find it. And then secondly, the transformation comes from just the person seeing what is possible. So I mentioned before that it's not about, right, do everything I say, read everything I do, take it as gospel, ignore everybody else. No, this is more about saying, well, you've gone through years of programming experiences, training, preset behaviors, automatic responses that we're introducing new possibilities to. So I mentioned, look, people call their lack of achievement in goals as self-sabotage. Okay, it's a common phrase, nothing wrong with that. But what if I introduce it's self-protection? Now, all of a sudden, self-sabotage is all about blaming yourself. Now, what does blaming yourself do? You perpetuate the idea that you're not good enough. And that's where low self-worth comes from. Because your immediate response is, oh, fucking hell, I can never stick to anything. I can't do this. Everybody else can do it. You know what I mean? But when you go, wait, in that, it's natural to feel. So you don't have to suppress it. You don't have to go, oh, you know, toxic positivity. You can go, I accept what I feel, and I can work on repairing my self-worth. So all of this calls for things like compassion, because you're going to continue to make mistakes. You will fuck up again. just about going through mistakes and going, okay, it's okay. I can be kind to myself. And your subconscious over time goes, okay, I get what you're doing. And then automatically you'll start to do these practices for yourself and achieve what you want. As I said, there's no hidden secret. You have the means to transform already. Now, the last thing I'll say is I'm not intending to make promises here. So people go, I'll guarantee you this. The person is welcome to take from the work what they want. It could be the tiniest thing that they've heard in one session out of 10 or whatever it might be. But all we're saying here is when you open up the possibilities, that's where your transformation comes into it. So that's why when you make them take the ownership of and responsibility of their own journey, so like you and it's not about what everybody else does. It's not about what people have done before. It's about going, what works for you? And then you can take that responsibility and going on. So if you want a very quick way of running that up, think about you. It's a bit like learning how to play a musical instrument. So I can show like guitar, right? I can show you how to play like Slash or Noel Gallagher or Brian May, but I'm not going to do that for you. If you want to learn, you've got to put in the work. Simple as that.
Yeah, I love that. So isn't what you do just therapy or counseling?
Good question. It's a lot of what people say. As like, again, when I say to people, I'm a mindset transformer. Oh, what's that? Is that therapy, counseling, something like that? Again, could be. My new stance is, yeah, maybe you're right. The perspective I offer is, okay, if you want to consider the comparisons, say, between a therapist and a life coach, right? We've all seen Venn diagrams, right? If you've got life coaches on one circle and therapists on another, life coaches will typically not represent themselves as a therapist, someone, I guess, more, you could call it medically qualified or professionally qualified, even though there are professional qualifications in coaching, but they typically won't identify themselves as a therapist. They'll also look to seek cooperation with the person, so making it a two-way process, and they should be engaging in active listening. So where the client themselves lead the way rather than you dictating down or advising them. On the other side of it, you've got therapists that represent themselves as a therapist, may even diagnose or treat without cooperation from the clients. They're saying, oh, this is what it is. And typically you need a very high level of qualification, so like master's level, PhD level. Where the two circles meet in the Venn diagram is the idea that you build trust and rapport with each other, and you need communication skills. Now, if you look at the typical definitions of counseling or therapy, counseling tends to be reparative in nature, so looking to fix things, whereas coaching has more the developmental focus, so like where are you going now? And so typically from a coaching point of view, we look at the here and now versus the there and then from counseling. But it's not the idea of us looking at past events and staying there. So we all think of like the typical therapist couch where we all lie there and go, oh yeah, you explain everything out and we all go, oh, there it is. And let's stick there and let's give you a bottle of pills and off you go. Put it this way, right? Here's an example. Imagine yourself getting ready to climb a mountain, and you've got two choices of who to hire to help you. You can either hire an expert Sherpa or a doctor. Which one do you go
for? Which one? Wait. If you're climbing a mountain, you said?
You're getting ready to climb a mountain.
Yeah.
So you've got two choices. You can either hire a Sherpa or a doctor.
Sharper?
So you know the Sherpa or the guide that guides you up the mountain.
Oh, a guide. Okay, I wasn't sure what that was called. What you were saying there.
Yeah, so a guide or a doctor.
I don't know. It depends on if I'm experienced and I hire the doctor so I can put myself at risk. No. We have a funny story of rock climbing in Hawaii. We took this horrible illegal hike and we just went for it and we almost killed ourselves.
Brilliant. Oh, God,
no,
that's all the kind of needing. You need some like evil guy going up a mountain. That's all you need. Like, hang on a minute, I've only done this before. What's going on?
Definitely the guide. Yeah.
So yeah, so exactly. People ordinarily think, well, I'm going up a mountain. I need someone that's been up the damn thing before, don't I? So they go, yeah,
Yes.
which is fine. But consider this. Don't you need to check first if you're actually physically able to climb the mountain? So you need to check with the doctor, are you in a fit state of health and have a baseline of good health to attempt the climb in the first place?
Yeah, we didn't do that either.
So,
I'm sorry, I'm ruining your analogy here, but
no, it's not. Here's the thing. Here's a lovely thing about this.
You're,
There's no right or wrong answer. And
Right,
this actually
right.
ties in back to the question. When people go, is it therapy or counseling? It could well be.
Yeah.
My coach made exactly this point, saying, look, I wrote that. So he wrote a book about this. And when he explained it, going, look, I'm well aware. I'm not coming from an empirical scientist, bona fide fact point. This could all be a bunch of shite that people look at. And it's like, what the fuck is this guy on about? This completely makes no sense. I get it. But it goes, again, it's just possibilities. Take from it what you will. So what he was getting at with that is saying, look, you will probably want to get the doctor to check that you've got a good baseline of health. And then the guide will just show you what to do, carry your supplies, show you the strategy, find the best path. So if we think about the role of a therapist and a coach here, or a counselor, you could imagine the therapist and the counselor as the doctor. They're the ones that treat sort of like major challenges in life, look at your mental and emotional well-being. And the coach is the guide, because they've got a knowledge of where the path you want to go, and they can lead you on the way. The best thing about the work with me is you get two in one. I'm the doctor and the guide. So essentially, all your definitions of therapy, counseling, all mixed in together. So if people want to spend X amount of money looking at therapists and thinking it's that way, because they even might have a stigma involved, like, oh, I'm seeing a therapist. You must have something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Whatever label people want to put on, again, it's up to them. And just to add in another quick analogy here is that, speaking of a doctor, you might have heard the analogy whereby people compare a typical GP with a surgeon. The idea being that you look for a coach out there that is solving the problem that you have. So from a coach's perspective, they say, be clear in who you're targeting and what you're helping with, and showing the outcomes and da-da-da. Again, great. Which with, again, defined niches might be a lot more palatable. So people can define, I will help you lose X weight in X weeks, or I will change your diet plan, or I will get your career on track, or whatever. I come from the perspective of, you can do what the fuck you want. It's not up to me. I will fix your mindset and help you. Well, not fix your mindset. I will show you the possibilities of working on your mindset so that you can achieve these without actually looking at them. So in that analogy, people say, well, if you broke your leg, you go to a surgeon. Yeah, that's right. If you break your leg, you go to A&E, or in your space, the emergency room, get it fixed. But what if you don't know you've got a broken leg in the first place? Now, sometimes it might be dead obvious, your leg's sticking at a wrong angle, so you need to go to a surgeon. But what if sometimes, what is this pain? You've probably seen it yourself, right? We get funny pains from unresolved traumas, so you don't know that it's broken. So do you go to A&E or the emergency room? No, you go to your GP. Same here. If you work with your mindset first, it could be that goal that you said, I want that. Maybe you don't even want it at all. That's what we find out. So that we go, right, you said you want that, but actually, you might not want to. I had exactly that same experience when I had my coach. I asked him, look, I want to find out what it is to be a coach. He looked at me on Zoom and went, I don't believe you. That's what opened my curiosity, saying we often say things that think, if I get that, that's what's going to make me happy. So first of all, dig, well, why do you want it? Do you want it because other people are getting it? Other people told you to? Or are you actually saying it? That's the question you answer first. So that is essentially.
Hi, JP. You made it.
This is why. Well, good evening. This is why it might be considered as therapy or counseling for people. If that's how you want to see it, that's cool. I mix everything in, and we work through it together.
Yeah.
Can he hear me on your mic?
Can you hear him? Can you hear Josh?
A little bit fadey in and out.
Let me mute my mic, and then you can ask. I think Josh has something to say real quick.
Okay, cool. Brilliant.
How about now?
Yeah, that's good.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Well, one of the things you said struck me. I I'll just summarize the idea, but like you said, you think you're wanting this thing, but it may not actually be the thing that you want. I think people have it take an idea or a goal or a thing that they think this is what's going to make me happy, or this is what's going to make me feel complete if I obtain this thing, because they've assigned some fantasy to it, or
Exactly.
it's how it fits in their head a certain way. But the real thing that they want is to feel whole, to feel joy, happy, whatever, however you want to define that. But they've assigned it to something, and it becomes sometimes an obsessive goal to get these things that, and in the most materialistic way, that could be a car. It can
100%.
be that thing that you think is going to make your life happy, and that constant pursuit. Like, that's something that I've thought about, and gone down that path of thinking before. So when you said it, it just struck me.
Beautifully put on it. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, that is such a common starting point, that honestly a lot of the time we feel our problems are our own, but really we all share them in some capacity. You mentioned that it's sometimes materialistic goals that we define ourselves by, and I akin that from coming from a culture where comparison to others and reaching certain goals, or what I call the checklist of life, is literally how your self-worth is determined. So by 18 you should have graduated, by 20 you should have had a good job, by 25 you should be married, by 30 you should have kids. Now if you don't hit any of those checkpoints along the way, alarm bells go off, suddenly going, why haven't you done that? There's got to be a reason. And if you say, well, whatever reason doesn't really apply to them, and what it does, it actually it impacts on your self-worth. So you begin to feel you're not good enough for not achieving those things. So this is why when we go chasing whatever it might be, to open up a bit on my own journey a little bit, is that with my coach, we talked a lot about singledom, and the struggles with it, of like, you're trying things like, dating apps and all those means, and you wind up with the emotions of frustration or disillusionment, of like, or where it's going, and also the sense that, well, everybody else seems to be getting married and having kids around you, and you're like you seem to be the last man standing. So again, my coach, how does it feel when you're making these efforts and you're not getting anywhere? You're frustrated. Okay, dig under. Why? Because you're not getting a reply. Okay, so the sub diversion you get there is, you're not responsible for how other people reply. It's difficult to practice. Then you take, because I'm an only child, and everybody else around me seems to be getting married, and I wonder if that impacts on my folks. Okay, you dug further. Why do you feel that your folks would be embarrassed? Because I haven't achieved the things in life that everybody else has. Okay, why is that an issue? Externally. So whatever other people think impinges on your own self-worth. So the clue here is, whatever they feel is absolutely fine. When it comes back to you, consider this. Do you want to find somebody as a partner for yourself, or to make other people, especially your folks, happy? So when he rounded it back to me, he said, think of it like this. When you work on your self-worth, you can come from a place where going, if I find a partner, great, they'll add to my life, they'll meet certain needs, and you'll have a great time, etc., etc. But if they don't come along for whatever reason, that's okay too. A lot of people think mindset transformation is about making a massive wholesale change in your life, overhaul everything, start again. Mindset transformation could actually just be being comfortable with where you exactly are right now. The transformation could be, I don't do anything, but now you come from a place of higher self-worth to say, right, do you know what? I'll give you another example. I live at home with my parents. Now, people go, bit weird, isn't it? Okay, without going through the whole list of reasons, I've looked at it and gone, right, if I could move out, where to? Who with? In this economic climate, does it make sense? Etc. etc. So I've given myself the idea that, yeah, is it ideal? No, my parents get my bloody nerves sometimes, like with everybody. But there's the situation at the moment is meeting my needs. But what does everybody else say? No, you should move out. You're never going to get married if you don't move out. Wife won't live at home. Your mother-in-law will argue, like, fucking hell. You're not going to just have that argument all day, are you? But I can go, okay. At the moment, I'm meeting my needs. If I want to change the situation, I can do. But what does that say to myself? I don't have to have a go at myself, perpetuate self-hate cycles, and actually come from that higher self-worth that gives me more possibilities to do what I need to. Because a lot of people think they've worked it out for you. Oh, do this, do that. Don't do this, don't do that. And then that's how often we chase stuff. Oh, you need to find a wife. Why? Because everybody else did. And what's that got to do with me? When you reverse the situation, go, what do I want? So if you ask yourself right now, what do I want? That simple question. What do I want? What'd you say? I'm asking.
Cookies.
Cookies. Yeah. Honestly, I love that answer, and I'll tell you why. A lot of people, when they hear the question, what do I want? They'll go, I want my kids to be happy. I want my partner to. That's absolutely fine. It shows you're benevolent, thinking of others. All fine. But what about you? What about you? Before you're anything else, whatever title, you're a human being. What do you want? Now, the fact that you said cookies, brilliant. You want cookies right now. Brilliant. Where does that come from? It comes from a place of, well, I can be significant too. It's not selfish. People go, oh, if I just think about myself, that's no good. But if you think of it this way, when you don't think about yourself and what you want, what does that lend to? People pleasing. You get your boundaries squashed, or no boundaries. You get your boundaries trampled on, and you're a perfectionist, which we're taught to think is, oh, that's good, isn't it? I people please. I think of other people and I'm doing nice things. Yeah. For example, of people pleasing, you might have asked Joshua. Joshua might have asked you many a time, what do you want to eat tonight? You pick. Italian? Nah, I don't want that. American? Nah. Indian? Nah. Chinese? Nah. What do you want? You pick. Oh, you go in that circle. So in that example, neither of you is saying what you want. So you end up doing something that you might not want to do in the first place. How many times do people go, fucking hell, I don't want to go see that person or go to there. But you bite your lip because of the other person. But then that extends to everything else in life. You do things for other people, and then you don't know what you're doing. And then that leads to elements of frustration, disillusionment, tiredness, the idea that everybody else gets everything. It fuels victim juice. You think that everybody else is the blame of your ills. When it comes to perfectionism, you don't want to take risks because of the fear of looking stupid. And you want to people please. They all tie together. They go hand in hand. But when you look into things like, well, if I ask what I want, means you define your own boundaries, and then you communicate them to people so they know what they are, and you can look to defend them. Now, when you can do that with practice, you actually begin to go, actually, this is working out one. I mean, you're actually not thinking about goals anymore. People get stuck on this word goals. Oh, I want that goal and that goal. Absolutely fine again. But the idea of goals is you just get stuck going, oh, now what? Job, career, kids, car, money, anger, relationships. But when we can go flexible thinking, going, sometimes I can be grateful for what I have. I can make the changes I want. And I can also dream and ask what do I want. I want to be a rock and roll star, Noel Gallagher one day. Might happen. if my subconscious went, is that what you really want? Really? And I can go at the moment, no, I'm a bit of a chicken. And I can also go, fucking hell, does today's environment lend me to be the next Noel Gallagher? Do I, they got signed up literally playing one gig. A record label producer came in and went, bloody hell, they're good, and signed them up. Is that going to happen to me? No, at the moment, but I could do if I want to. But I can just easily enjoy getting my guitar out and putting it up to 10 or 11 like Spinal Tap and just enjoy myself. So when you can ask yourself, what do you want? Opens up so much more. That's what transformation is all about. Bloody hell, that must have been the longest answer to a question I've ever given.
I love it though. It resonates deeply with us. My husband and I, we've really we were both in 20-year marriages before we met each other. And there was a lot of that self-sacrificing what you want and, in the past relationships. And one of the things that was really healing to us both was that we really practiced that intention of saying, what is it that your heart desires? That's how we say it. Yeah. What is your heart desire? And, it was a practice, especially, I'm not trying to victimize myself as a mom, but as a mom of 7 kids, you're constantly taking care of everybody else's needs. You're constantly, really not even thinking about yourself. And then whenever you do, you take a moment to go, do something like get your nails done or something like that. You start to feel guilty why, I could be taking them to the park right now, whatever. You start that negative talk, but really that aspect of taking care of yourself and what you desire, what it does is it transforms your own life to start to give out of abundance. And so then when you've taken care of the stuff inside of you that you truly desire and you really get to the root of it, then, like I said, it's a place of abundance, of giving. It's not a place of just caring and taking care of and task oriented or trying to please people. It's I'm full. How can I help you? And so it's a totally different shift. And everything you say resonates deeply with us. And
100%. And honestly, it ties back into the idea that this isn't some mystical, complex, weird journey that you have to do. It's simple things.
But it's necessary.
It's absolutely necessary.
It's
simple
necessary.
Questions.
It
what
really
do you want?
is.
Being kind to yourself. And that also involves going, if you feel these emotions, so I'm going off a slight tangent here, surprise, surprise. There's actually no such thing as a negative emotion. At the heart of it, if you consider what an emotion can be defined as, it's actually a chemical reaction that happens in your brain that will last for 90 seconds in your system if you don't do anything with it, and it will just pass out. At the moment, we get the instinctive natural reaction in our brain and we catch it. And we store it somewhere in our bodies as trauma. So that can be in response to anything. If you go all the way back to the beginning of our lives, you'll probably see you've had more experience with children, so you probably resonate with a fair bit of this. Children will naturally show you what they're feeling. They're tired, they will scream. They're hungry, they will let you know. They will show any emotion. They don't care who's around them. They will display it. Supermarkets, home, car, wherever you pick, right? They won't filter it. They'll be unfiltered. But as adults, we don't do the same thing. We don't shout and scream and rant and rave as much as we want to, because we go, I'm going to look like an idiot if I do that. So they don't do that. But where did that behavior come from? Well, if you consider, let's go back to people pleasing for a second, right? If you think of a child that's happily playing with their toy or book or whatever it is one day, right? And then another child walks in the room, may not be their sibling, maybe a family friend or cousin or whomever, might be with their parent, and they're encouraged to share, play nice. And what does the child sometimes do? Looks at you as the caregiver going, the fuck? This is my toy. I'm playing with it. Fuck off. This is mine. And what do? They either grab it or say no. But then what do they get told? No, play nice, share, he's your friend or she's your friend. Da, 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 da. And you kind of look at them going, the bloody hell are you? And then they kind of gingerly share and open up, whatever, which is fine. But what's the subliminal message behind that? it's not okay to do what you want. You have to share. No, I'm not saying sharing is a bad thing, but this is where if you leave it unaddressed, that's when people pleasing manifests itself later on in life. You learn to not do what you want first, is what does everybody else want. So that simple thing that you picked up from very early on, and look, we're not saying that parents are to blame or caregivers are to blame. Everybody's just trying their best on what they know based on at the time. But it's where these things start from. Now, people go, you know, where are these answers? Again, that's where they all are. It's just reinterpreting what we see in things, not deny they happened, not repress them, but to go, okay, these are where these are happening, and this is where it looks like now in adult life. So that thing I said before about, you know, you going on to and fro about restaurants, it's like it just starts from the fact that at some point we learn to go, right, if I don't share, I'm not acceptable. If I'm not acceptable, I'm not good enough. And at that stage in life, in childhood, we're like, if I don't listen to them, I might die because they might not look after me because they don't think I'm acceptable. Now, a child won't actively communicate that, but that might be the thought process that goes through going, oh, shit. So where does a negative emotion come from? So if a child screams or is angry or displays typically a negative emotion, they'll get told, don't cry, don't be sad, don't be this. So when they hear the word don't, they go, oh, I just naturally felt like screaming or crying, but I got told that I shouldn't be like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to file that away. So if I feel that next time, I'm going to not do that. Now that builds up because, you know, over the years they learn that, but now they've made an idea of what is a negative emotion. Well, it's these things that I'm not allowed to display versus, oh, if they're, you know, I don't know, polite or obedient or whatever it might be, they're like, okay, when I do these things, I get praised, I get accepted, I'm good enough. So that's where you form positive emotions. So we have the idea that these are positive, these are negative. I can't display these. When in reality, these negative emotions are where your answers are. They're in your shadow. I wrote a whole book about it. Your answers are in your shadow. But at the moment, people go, negative emotion. Shouldn't feel that, should I? Yeah, you should. The message you can give yourself is you're absolutely okay to feel any emotion. That's not a license to go, right, be a dickhead and just show every emotion and trample all over everybody all day. It's that balance. You're not going from one extreme to the other. It's about going, right, I can feel angry. I can feel pissed off. And there's ways to process it. I have we might go on to this if we have time. I have, you know, a example of leading one of your characters through the whole model, which we'll come back to as we go into the model. But yeah, essentially, you have your answers. You just don't know.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You talked a little bit about the overcoming the feelings of low self-worth and cultivating a positive mindset. Real quick, do you have any like practical techniques or exercises that individuals could use to overcome those feelings? I feel like our society so desperately needs that because we've turned into, like, for the longest time, it was like the selfie nation, right? That everybody is like, they're looking for that self-worth and they are just, I feel like it's turning them into narcissists. They're 100%. They're looking for that validation.
I'm so glad you said that.
They're looking for that positive over for themselves, but they're also so critical of themselves whenever they post their videos. Like some people take 1,000 videos and trying to post, post something. But anyways, I won't go down that tangent. But
I'm glad you did. So I'll quickly touch on that. It's literally, as you said, self-worth, looking for that instant gratification. Yes. I compare your self-worth is if you've ever played video games like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, your character has a health bar. Every time you get hit or punched or kicked or whatever, your health bar goes down a bit. Liken it to your self-worth. Every time you look to do something that somebody else told you or to get an instant hit and you don't get it, your self-worth health bar goes down a bit. And that's where you're coming from at the moment. Yeah, your health bar is so low, you just don't know it. Why? What are people doing? They want to look fashionable. They want to look knowledgeable, the one. Why? There's an inherent core human need of love and connection. We're human beings, a tribal species. We want to connect to other people. We all have also a need for significance and ego. I want to be someone. I don't want to be a nobody. I want to be the one who gets the likes, the comments, the hearts, the emojis, the God, whatever. Even when you connect to our space, I see so many coaches nowadays going, I'm right. Fuck everybody else. They're all wrong. They're idiots. You're an idiot for listening to them. Literally broadcasting, punches to self-worth of people. When I'm like, hold on, there's room for everybody. No one has the perfect silver bullet answer. Everybody is trying to find their way. So in this culture, as you said, of the selfie nation, it's like, well, how do I get an instant hit? Like with addictions, probably don't have time to go into that, but you're looking for a quick fix. That's what it is. Coming back to practical techniques, I've got a couple I can quickly share. So, let me do this one first. So, if you think at the moment, whenever, actually ties into what we're saying just now. If you think about the time when you've with a group of friends or maybe with family, whomever, and you have debates or discussions that might lead into arguments over whatever it could be, sport, politics, current affairs, whatever it might be. You might then have more of a heated exchange with someone, or one versus many, right? They're what I call ego battles. These are typically one side says this, one side says that, and you smash each other trying to win the argument. Now, if you win the argument, you don't win any money, you don't win a holiday like on Price is Right or something like that. It's all about you going, I was right, yay for me, and your ego gets a boost. And you think your self-worth has gone up. Now, if you've lost the argument, you're like, I'm an idiot, I'm gullible, I'm naive, depending on what happened in the interaction. They tell you, oh, you're an idiot, you're wrong, you're the, it comes down to a you thing. So your self-worth plummets. So my coach had a brilliant 3-worded phrase that he said, next time that happens on anything, say this phrase. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. What that does is, there's 2 things. It takes the pressure straight off you of being right. So what that means is when you've entered this ego battle, whether you wanted to or not, you might just find yourself in one. You might have previously come along with an opinion that you hold so steadfast to yourself and going, right, this is my ironclad opinion on this. It's not going to change. And that's what you come up against, somebody else's ironclad opinion. But when you can go, I could be wrong. I don't know everything. Hardly a lot in life is bona fide fact. Everything you come in with is an opinion. When you can introduce the idea that, like, yeah, do you know what? They might know a bit more about it, or, I can learn more. I can approach it going, yeah, I don't have to approach this going, I'm right and you're wrong, and I have to prove that you're wrong or that I am right. When you say that, you literally feel going, yeah, fuck it. I don't need to explain to these people or him or her. Okay, they might be right. And also, while you doing that, imagine this is you. Your side drops. All of a sudden, they've got no one to go against anymore. So you immediately shut them off. I've seen it happen. I've used it.
Yeah.
What an example. A little while ago, we had exactly the same topic. Singledom. Oh, you need to do this. You need to do that. You need to do that. A lot of people, singletons, married people, you need to do this. You need to do that. You're the. And I could feel myself going, oh, I'm going to get annoyed here. You get annoyed. You get frustrated. You're going to swear at them. You're going to burst. Why? Programming experience. No, I shouldn't say what I need to out loud. I'm going to look stupid. I'm going to swear. I'm going to I went, hang on. What about maybe you're right? So I engaged it. I looked at them and went, maybe you're right. And you can do that. They literally went, yeah, because what you say, you actually appeal to their own ego. Because that's all it is. They want to show that they're right. So by negating that, your self-worth has suddenly gone up because you're going, yeah, I can be flexible enough to go, okay, I can change my opinion if I want to. Whether you do, that's up to you. So that very simple exercise, but just constantly practicing. It's not like you going in, going, maybe you're right, and starting with that. It's literally, if you feel like, oh, I'm gonna sort of lose my shit here, because sometimes there's people say things that we just don't agree with. We're like going, where the fuck did you pull that from? But honestly, when you can just go, maybe you're right, it honestly gives you so much less grief, less stress, less worry. Again, with anything of these practices, it's just practice. And it might sound counterintuitive to people as they're listening and watching, going, really? Practice it. It will open up, again, more possibilities to go, yeah. The whole thing I got summarized in a great quote by Keanu Reeves, who said, you know what, try not to get into arguments anymore. If somebody says 1 + 1 is 5, I go, good on you, mate. Fair enough.
I was actually just thinking about him.
He portrays the exact persona that people do. I mean, many people who have read stories and heard stuff about him, you know, literally brings it back to himself. You know, what was it? He had a birthday once. He just sat outside a cafe on his own, offered anybody a coffee to walk by, just have a conversation. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So when I heard that quote,
he said basically like what you had just said. He's like, instead of getting into arguments with people, it would just be like, yeah, man, you're totally right, and just let the conversation end so he doesn't have to have it, you know.
Exactly. And see,
yeah.
That's what I was just gonna say. People think they're like, aren't you just like letting them walk all over you? Yeah, it could be, if you want to think of it that way. But I think of it, it's like, well, when I consider if I've had arguments, I know that like if I bring emotion into it, it doesn't because people are so preoccupied with being right in this, like you're giving the right fact or the most knowledgeable. And if you spill emotion into it, then you just start going into personal insults. Oh, you're not listening, and you're so naive, and you're so this, and you're that, and like, okay, wow. And then you don't have in response the kind of factual response that would counteract their point. You know at some point that like there's a point in there, but you can't find it, and then you're struggling to do that whilst people are going at you. It's like, fuck it, just maybe you're right. Honestly, that little bit would just increase your self-worth.
Yeah.
Because where do things like frustration, disillusionment, the pressure to be right, the pressure to be perfect, where does it all come from? You don't feel good enough. When, in all honesty, we're all imperfect. We all fuck up. We all are imperfect. But we just don't think that we are. But when we learn that and raise our self-worth, that's it.
One of my favorite quotes is, never argue with a fool in the streets, for onlookers may not know which one is the fool.
Love it. Love it. That's another t-shirt. I'll write that down.
Right? There you go.
You know what I mean? We can make our little clothing range here, right?
There we go. Well, we only have like 3 minutes left to this session.
Oh, damn it, really? No,
I know.
I told you there was loads. Honestly, I told you there was loads.
I know. I feel like we could do this several times. So, but was there any kind of wrap-up comments that you wanted to say, or any wrap-up questions anybody had? I know JP's been hanging in there. Hi, JP. He's had trouble logging in all day. But
I love the commitment. He's coming from his car.
He is, yeah. He's giving us a thumbs up.
Awesome.
But is there any ending statements that you have for us? You know, I think a lot about the people who really are struggling to find their own unique path in inner peace and fulfillment. And, you know, and also just like there can be so much conflict in your life that you can't find that peaceful path, you know, and I think that's where that mind shift needs to come in. And because, you know, just like you're saying, it's all rooted in your self-worth. It's all, the answers are all within you. So I think that what you're doing is brilliant work, and, you know, it's really needed out there. But is there any last advice for someone who's really struggling and really low?
Yeah, thank you so much. Absolutely. I'll just end with a few quick, I guess, one-liners, which may surprise people. Just things to consider when they're looking to spark that curiosity or want to work. Firstly, stay kind to yourself. What you feel is absolutely okay. You don't need to suppress anything. Feel what you feel. You're always going to be a student. Unlike, the last page of a book or the last track of an album or last level of a video game, there isn't a certain place to go, do you know what? I'm done. You'll always keep learning. I still keep learning. I'm the mindset transformer, but I always keep learning. A lot of this work is simple, but not easy. It's okay to change your mind on the way. Nothing wrong with that. You're not the only one that's experiencing what you're experiencing, which ties into staying kind to yourself. And if anything, you're actually one of the courageous people that have introduced themselves to wanting to change. That's massive. Don't underestimate that. The possibilities for you are there. You have the answers already, but at the same time, don't expect an overnight fix. As much as you've had all the years, whatever age you are, you've had of all these existing programming experiences and behaviors, might take a little bit of time to reprogram essentially. But again, the possibilities are there. Keep practicing whatever you can. And obviously we'll go into that when we work together, because we'll still fuck up, but the possibilities are there. You can craft your path to your own inner peace, even if you change your mind about what that is along the way. But stay kind to yourself, and as the title goes, feel supersonic.
I love it. I love it. And we just, for those of you who are watching the replays today, if you're not subscribed to our community, go back into our community, subscribe. It's $35 a month. It gets you into all of the workshops that we have along for the health fair, every single workshop that we have. It gets you the free content. Everybody has a free download that they give away whenever they come on and teach a workshop. So it gets you access to all of this. Plus, in the community, that is where we've set up spaces for these healers. Vishad has his own space. We just opened it up today, so I'm super excited about that. It's empty right now, but we're going to be throwing some content in there, and Vishad's going to be there and definitely be engaging with you. You're going to be able to find the replay for this, so especially if you want to tell your friends about it and share this information, because it's it is transforming.
Absolutely. And just as a footnote, in this chat, if it's still visible, I've dropped a link to my free soundboard session. It's an invite to you personally to book an hour in with me, and we can talk about your own path to your inner peace, whatever you'd like that to be. So this is completely, at no cost to you. Just click on the link, it'll open a calendar, you do the rest of it. And, I'm here to, look, I've got big ears anyway, that's why I'm here to listen. So absolutely. And just another word, I said this at the beginning, but many thanks to Jamie for putting this all together. She's been working on it for a long while for us now, getting this going and getting the initial group of healers together and finding seekers and constantly working. She told me yesterday, she's having constant 4 a.m. starts, networking, building, testing, communicating. So massive thank you to Jamie, and the more supports we get along this on the way, we can all help each other. As Oasis sang, we believe in one another. That's what it's all about.
That's right. Thank you, Vishad. I appreciate you. All right. Well, that's a wrap for today. So thank you very much. Thanks, Vishad. And we'll see you in the community.
Nice one. Thanks very much, guys. Feel supersonic.
All right. Bye.